Hey, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just really restless and struggling and not able to sleep. And I thought maybe just talking to my amigo, my iPhone, it would help me release a jumble of thoughts that are going through my head. Just all kinds of thoughts and emotions, and how I want to help Susie, and I don't know how. And that is frustrating, really frustrating. By the way, if you're wondering what this setup is, see the dining room chairs back there. This is the sofa. And I have slept on the sofa for several years. Not because of marital disagreements, but I have a history of snoring. And so this is literally at the opposite end of our little duplex from the bedroom, so that Susie could get some reasonable sleep. Anyway, been thinking about doing maybe a video vlog, is the term. A video diary of what's going on right now. Yesterday was the third full day of Susie's hospitalization. So it's still very fresh, but pretty significant. One of the things that I've been doing is thinking, which is what I'm about, is thinking and planning and saying in my head, this is how I can make it work to bring her home. Only to be faced with the reality from the medical community that what I'm thinking isn't workable, even early on in this journey. After a conversation with my brother, whose family took care of his father-in-law after a stroke at 86, which is the same age as Susie right now. And he lived another 8 years. Anyway, Jay, my brother, had told me how they set up a hospital bed for his father-in-law, Frank, and spent a lot of quality time with his family, which sounds like a real blessing all the way around. But unfortunately, I don't think that's my situation. And I think Susie's level of disability is much more significant. It's still early on, and we're trying to get a handle on it, but essentially the right side, which is her dominant side, is almost fully paralyzed. She tries to talk, but I can't understand her, and it's frustrating for her. I can see it on her face. And it's frustrating for me too, because I desperately want to do whatever she wants. I think she's really pissed that I took her to the hospital, and now she's trapped in a medical machine where neither one of us really has a say in terms of her ultimate fate. Feel a lot of guilt. Feel a lot of guilt. You know, we've talked over the years what she would want or not want. I think never really taking in consideration the possibility of a stroke. But you know what? That's what happened. Anyway, back to the idea of me making plans. I met with the medical social worker yesterday. And sometimes, like, I'm so full of emotions and I don't know what to call it. I feel like I just keep talking to this person about Susie and our life. And I kind of feel like I'm overdoing it for her. This is a professional. And I was repeatedly apologizing for like this verbal vomiting on her. Anyway, I gave her insight into Susie and me, and oh boy. You know, I thought that if I could get her home, you know, some of my thoughts would be, well, if I need, I want to go for a walk. I walk every day now for between half an hour and an hour. And I was thinking, okay, probably need to keep the walk shorter, maybe a half an hour, but maybe more than one time a day. And by the way, sorry for sounding so nasally. I've got my mouth guard in, and I guess this is my morning voice. But anyway, yeah, the social worker was telling me, like, if you're leaving to go to the grocery store or going for a walk, you need somebody there physically, a quote-unquote caregiver. Doesn't need to be a professional, quote-unquote. Could be a friend or a neighbor. Although people offer, I really don't feel that that's realistic. And our money situation is such where, although I could afford to do that, maybe occasionally it couldn't be, I don't think, an every week kind of scenario. So, feeling kind of trapped and frustrated. Anyway, just got a notification of Facebook on my screen here. My friend Efren Gonzalez in Ajijic, who's a phenomenal artist that Susie and I befriended and helped him in small ways financially early in his artistic career, and he has just blossomed and become a force for beautiful art and significant artworks in the community. And he's become active in the International Plein Air Artists Association. I'm probably butchering that. So anyway, it brings up a wonderful memory when I saw his Facebook notification. Okay, back to me, my favorite subject. I listen to Prof. G. Scott Galloway, and he often says that, let's talk about me, back to me, that kind of stuff. But it's important that I find those little moments of humor right now. So anyway, really not sure what to do. I've got a meeting tomorrow there's a local volunteer nonprofit group that supports seniors in terms of counseling for Medicare, Medicaid, and all manner of things, not just that relate to seniors. So I'm going to see if they can help me out so we can get Susie the care that I think she needs and deserves. Don't know if that's going to happen. So I feel very guilty about that. Anyway, yesterday was Tuesday, and the day before Monday, I felt Susie was much more alert and responsive than any time she had been in the hospital, which gave me some little degree of hope. Not about recovery, but about progress. Anyway, Monday she was able to drink some water, very little, and they give her a little almond milk. I've told them that she's lactose intolerant, so they're really doing a great job. She gets wonderful care. I can't say enough about Valley Medical Center in San Jose. It's a Santa Clara County facility, and they've really been phenomenal. The care, the quality of the people that work there is just more than I could hope for. But anyway, back to Susie. So she was able to drink some and to eat some, and it's all in very small amounts. And since she's paralyzed on the right, for her to drink is through a straw, and the straw needs to be inserted on the left side, because that's where she has some muscle control and some strength of sorts. And she was able to eat a little bit and They have these little cups of food, and it's really quite an assortment. There was broccoli and roast turkey and sweet potatoes, and all this is like finely minced. I mean, really small pieces, like, I don't know, a little more than a millimeter in diameter. So it's extremely small and moist and easy to go down. And there was an apple dessert. I forget what it was. I don't know what they called it, apple pie or whatever, but if it was apple pie, it wasn't apple pie in the classical sense like you would eat, but I guess, was flavored like apple pie. And she went after that. She was pretty passionate. She had several spoons of that. And she has a sweet tooth. And it just touched me. It's glad that she could have something that she enjoyed. There's so few moments for her. I have to think of any feeling of hope or joy. And that she has to feel imprisoned in her body without a say, relying on me to make those decisions for her welfare, that I will do what she would want me to do. So, anyway, oh boy. Yeah. When this stroke happened, and it happened last Friday night, I thought it was a Kundalini awakening. And the reason I say that is Susie's had a number of little episodes over the last 2 years here in California, and she told me she felt that she had one in Mexico over 13 years ago. Sorry, I'm so nasally. I'm feeling stuffed up. So I forgot what I was talking about. Man, I'm one fucked up guy, one spacey dude. Very spacey. Anyway, I'll go back and watch this video and see what I was talking about. Pick it up again. Okay. Oh, Friday night. Stroke. So we'd been watching a movie, Amazon streaming, and after the movie's over, we decided to look at a couple movie trailers, kind of setting up our future viewing goals. Every night we try to watch a movie. Some are good, some are so-so. And after watching one of the trailers, I don't know if I asked her something, but she started speaking, and it was all gibberish. It wasn't words. something's up. And maybe this is the Kundalini, because she'd been telling me that she thought for the last several days that she felt like a Kundalini might be coming on, and this is not a pleasurable experience for her. So she was kind of dreading it. So anyway, I got her up and I got her into the bathroom to brush her teeth and get ready for bed, which she did without problem. And every night I give her a dose of her thyroid medication that she takes in the middle of the night, so there's no food or, conflict. And the next morning the pill was gone, so she had to have gotten up in the middle of the night to take it. And had an interaction with her in the morning, and she's still speaking gibberish. I'm not understanding her, but she's clearly trying to communicate and pointing, and I wasn't understanding. Yeah, and I just allowed her to sleep for a good part of the day, because that's what she's done in the past when she's had these Kundalini events, and I'm questioning now whether they really were Kundalini. They may have been movie previews of her future situation. So anyway, she hadn't had anything to drink all day, and I had been pleading with her to drink, and she has a little bottle with a straw in it, and it was like she wasn't interested. And finally I just told her, I said, I'm gonna call 911 and take you to the hospital if you don't drink. And she tried, and again, I didn't know that half of her body was paralyzed. I knew that her body wasn't functioning right, but I hadn't really assessed it. And she really, even with the straw, couldn't make anything happen. And I noticed that her left eye was like droopy closed, and the left side of her mouth was kind of down like that. And I went to my good buddy AI to put in those symptoms and say, is this a Kundalini? And if not, what could it be? And it told me it was highly unlikely that it was Kundalini, most likely a stroke or a mini stroke. And then I asked AI do's and don'ts for this, for her, if it was a mini stroke. And first thing it said is get immediate medical attention. So I told her I was calling 911. I called 911, and the EMT guys showed up relatively quickly. Our local fire station's only about a block away, so that's a huge bonus. And the 911 operator stayed on the phone with me until the EMTs arrived. Yeah. Scary. You feel helpless. You're out of your element. I felt helpless. Anyway, they say we're taking her to Valley Med. And Susie and I had a low opinion of Valley Med, not from personal experience, but from just our perception. And I have to say it's been completely the opposite. So I feel so fortunate for that. Boy. I was listening to some George Carlin interviews, the comedian, and they were talking about a book he had written that he titled Brain Droppings. And I really feel like that's what I'm doing right now. I'm giving you brain droppings. So, boy. Don't know what to do. Don't know what to do. Just get up and put one foot in front of the other and let her know I love her and I care for her. Yesterday I bought her a big bouquet of flowers. They had said bring in personal photos or things like that. We really don't have a lot of that. I mean, we have things on our phone, photos on our phone, but not a lot of printed photos. And so I had this anniversary card that I'd made for her 9 years ago. And it was our 33rd anniversary. And on the cover, I had a photo of our little Shih Tzu named Ginseng, who's been gone for almost 18 years, I think. And I had the little caption out of his mouth that said Mama, because she always referred to him as baby. And on the inside of the card was a photo of her and I together. A selfie, actually, smiling into the camera. So I took that. So she has some little altar, if you will, some symbols of her past and connections. The room she was in right after she was assessed at the emergency department or emergency room, I'm not sure what they call it these days. We were there from about, I guess, 5:30 till about 11. And the nurses were really good, and they said that the doctor, Valley Med is a trauma center, so the doctor was engaged with a trauma situation. I'm not sure if it was surgery or what. So we didn't see him for till about 10 o'clock that night. She'd already had was a CT scan, some kind of scan. It wasn't MRI. Some kind of scan, and in many cases with a stroke, you can't clearly see that on that type of scan, but Susie's was significant enough for them to be able to see it. And the doctor basically told me, and I'm paraphrasing here, so I don't want to give the guy a bad rap. It's a tough job, but essentially he said, you waited too long to get her in, and your wife will never walk again. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. Ton of bricks. So, about 11 o'clock, we were able to move her to the department that she was going to be in, and it's It's not intensive care, but it is a high level of care, and the rooms were large, like 18 by 18 feet, and it was a private room and modern. I don't think it was more than 5 years old, if that. And the care was just phenomenal. Physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, the nurses, whole team of people. It's really quite phenomenal. And people with just good vibes, good energy. People that are there because they want to be there in terms of their profession. And that's so important, I think. So anyway, things on Susie's to-do list were initially they were keeping her blood pressure elevated. Not they were doing anything; they just weren't bringing it down. And the thinking was, if they dropped the blood pressure too quickly, that it could cause increased bleeding in her brain, which could be catastrophic. So Monday, they started her on some blood pressure meds at a very low level. And literally within 30 minutes, her blood pressure had dropped some, I think pretty significantly, but not where they eventually wanted to go. And then yesterday, which was Tuesday, I was in, and a rehabilitation case manager came in and made a comment that something like, since her blood pressure hadn't stabilized. And I'm going, what? Blood pressure stabilized me. I didn't know it was unstable. And so, it's kind of like the game of telephone where you're telling people around to circle the message, and it doesn't get transmitted correctly by the end. It wasn't her that was incorrect. It was like she probably heard this earlier, so she was giving me information that was hours old. And so I think it did wind up that that her blood pressure by the end of the day had stabilized. I think they didn't tell me that specifically, but she was, I guess, making progress enough to be able to move to a different department where the department she was in initially, there was 1 nurse to 3 patients, which, that's a phenomenal ratio, and private room. And now she's in a room that's about a little bigger than half the size, and it's a shared room, and it's in the older part of the hospital. So it's like part of this journey of, okay, this is where we're at right now. I briefly met the nurse, and she seems wonderful, so I'm sure Susie's going to get good care there. But I think I'll end my brain droppings for right now.